Hi everyone. So today I'm going to not be covering a typical fantasy book that I normally read. I decided to kind of take a break between some books, and so I wanted to do something really quick, and so I picked up an Agatha Christie book. I love reading her books every once in a while, just as a kind of like a little, I don't know, a little break, I guess, from maybe one of the bigger epics I'm tending to be reading. And since I just finished a book and I was starting another one and I'm in the middle of the wheel time, I'm just like, you know what, I just want to do something real quick over the weekend. Because her books are maybe like 4 hours of a reading time. I mean, they're pretty quick. So I was like, you know what, I'll just pick this up real quick, finish it up, and I'd like to do a video on it. So I'm going to do the video on Halloween Party. And I picked this one up because I like to watch the movies that are out with Hercule Poirot, and I've watched, the Death on the Nile one, Murder on the Orient Express, loved those. And I saw, in September, is The Haunting in Venice, and I was really excited about that one. And I saw that it was based off of the Halloween Party book, and I was like so excited. I'm like, oh, I gotta check this out, because all the other ones, Death on the Nile and Murder on the Orient Express, they all follow very closely to the book and the movie. Like, there's not a whole lot of differences. Obviously, there's some like dramatic differences and everything, just for the effect. Maybe some of the dialogue's different because Agatha Christie, her writing, it is more in the past. So I guess it could be, we don't necessarily talk the same way, I guess, anymore. So you do have those differences, but I was really excited to see Haunting in Venice because when I watched the trailer, and if you've not watched it, it doesn't really feel like probably a typical Agatha Christie book because it's more of like this horror story feel, with Halloween. The plot is about how he attends this seance. There we go. I even looked it up. I knew I was going to say it wrong. But anyways, it's essentially like kind of like they're trying to commune with the dead. And then one of the guests gets murdered, and they're almost like stuck in this mansion. And Poirot just like is refusing to let anyone leave till he figures out who the killer is, and he's trying to use this logic and rationalization. But they're making it seem like there's maybe some type of supernatural, beyond the dead force that's killing everyone. So that's what the feel of that trailer is. And I was curious to see about the book because I'm like, her other books aren't like that. So I'm like, I'm kind of excited to maybe actually get like almost like a horror story, mystery feel. And I was really excited. And I was like, I can't wait to try this. Well, I started reading the book and you don't get that feel at all. And I'm like, okay, this is really weird. And I got maybe like an hour or so in, and I'm like, this is not at all like the trailer. I'm like, what's going on? So I do a quick Google search, and it's loosely based off the book. And let's just say loosely is very loose. I wouldn't even, I guess the names are similar, and I think it's a reason to use Poirot. The actor who does Poirot does a fantastic job. And I don't know if maybe it was just to kind of have that murder mystery and they wanted to use him. And so they're like, hey, this is going to be based off of Halloween Party. It's not. It is not at all. Like, I was a little disappointed, to say the least. But I feel bad because now with the book, I'd probably not rate it very high because I had this like expectation of, more of this horror feel, and then I got nothing like that, and so I was very disappointed. Whereas if I probably read that book without the expectation, I'd just been like, oh, this is one of her typical books. On that note, though, it was still pretty boring. Compared to her other books that I've been reading, this one was rough. It's only about 270 pages. It's about a 4-hour read, and I felt like it was too long. There was a lot of scenes in the book where it just kind of was it was almost like all the characters were just going off on these random tangents. And like, it didn't make any sense. It didn't matter. And even after finishing the book and like seeing the outcome, because there's always these twists at the end with the outcome, I still don't feel like those tangents were even necessary. I felt like there could have been a lot that could have been cut out. Honestly, this probably could have been like 150 pages. It was still good, but it just wasn't great. It was just okay. So I'd probably give it like a 3, I guess. I don't know if I'm rating it that way, the 5 stars, but I'd probably give it maybe like a 3. I got so frustrated with it, but I was also extremely disappointed because it wasn't what I was looking for. But so this book, because I described the trailer a little bit, this book, it starts off with literally a Halloween party, but it's more of one of those happy Halloween parties with like a bunch of like teenager kids, between probably 11 to maybe 15 or so. And it's actually like, they're doing like a broomstick competition. They have where they're like pretending they look in the mirror and they see their future husbands or something. And then there's also like bobbing for apples. So it's like a lot of like just Halloween party activities for kids. And what happens is, this is the very beginning, is one of the girls, she gets, as she's doing the bobbing for apples, and someone drowns her in that, and so they find her. And so the premise of the story is trying to figure out who killed her, but mainly the motivation for why they killed her. Because she said something before the party, and Poirot jumped on that and thought that that was relevant, and that means that's how or why she got killed. So he's trying to figure that chain of the past to find out, because there was a murder in the past, and so he's trying to link those kind of together. And he's not stuck in the like haunted mansion. He's just going around interviewing various people. There is no haunted feel at all. There is nothing at all like the trailer. I mean, obviously I haven't seen the movie, but based off of what I've read and what I've seen in the trailer, it's comparing apples to oranges. So I was a little frustrated and disappointed because I was all excited for kind of like this, Halloween fall haunted feel. I don't know. I'm not really like one for horror stories or anything like that, but I thought it'd be kind of fun just as a quick little mystery read that had a little bit of that Halloween fall spin on it. But that was not there. And like I said, loosely based is definitely, it's not even based. Like, it's just, like I said, I think they just wanted to use the names of the actors, to be honest. And they just, I don't know. It just wasn't there. But like I mentioned, even with that disappointment of that expectation, the book was still kind of boring. It felt a little long. So if you haven't read Agatha Christie yet, I would not recommend starting with this one. And if you have read her too, I'd recommend maybe just skipping this one. And if you were thinking about reading it before the movie, don't worry about it. It's not worth it. But if you haven't read her yet, I definitely recommend starting off with And Then There Were None. Death on the Nile is really good too. The ABC Murders was fun because you actually do have quite a few murders taking place. So try those 3 out first. And Then There Were None is definitely my top favorite of hers. So, and it was really good. And it's pretty good rated very well. I'll get that sentence right. But yeah, so I'd recommend starting there first. Just skip this one. It's not necessary. There's a lot of other good Agatha Christie books. And I'm still pretty excited for the movie, but I am a little disappointed that it's not really based off of the book. Like I said, my expectations between Murder on the Orient Express and Death on the Nile, they matched so well with the book, and I was so excited because I liked reading it and then watching it, or watching it and reading it. It was just fun. So I was definitely thrown off by this one. But on that note, if you haven't checked her out, I guess I recommend checking out her other books. But I hope this was at least entertaining for you. It's a little different than my typical fantasy reviews, but don't worry, I'll have some more fantasy reviews coming up.